The Aam Aadmi Party in Delhi has alleged that there's an alleged vaccination scam that is underway, asking how it was possible that several state government centers like in Delhi have run out of vaccine doses, especially for the 18 to 44 age group. But vaccinations are going on at private centers. The Aam Aadmi Party alleges a scam in which they say doses are not coming to the state governments, but going instead to the private hospitals, the private vaccination centers. They have asked the center to clarify on this. So that's what the Aam Aadmi Party has said, that vaccinations are at government facilities. Vaccinations at government facilities are shut for the youth in Delhi, but vaccinations are going on at private centers where money is being charged from around 900 rupees to 1300, 1400, even 1500 rupees are being charged. That's what the Aam Aadmi Party has alleged. Let's take this to our panelists. Joining us this evening to discuss this is Raghav Chadha of the Aam Aadmi Party, who did that press conference and made those allegations, also asked questions to the center. Mr. PKD Nambiar, a political analyst whose views lean towards the BJP. Thank you, sir, for joining us. Also joining us is Professor Dr. Anita Ramesh Chandra, who works at the Apollo Specialty Hospitals in Chennai. Thank you, Doctor, for joining us this evening. Raghav Chadha, let's begin with you. You have alleged that there is a vaccination ghotala or scam that's going on. The state government vaccination centers for youth are shut due to non-availability of vaccines. The private hospitals continue to give vaccine shots. But private hospitals are allowed to procure directly from the manufacturers, aren't they?
Look, first of all, as far as allocations, whether to state government or to these private sector hospitals is concerned, it is done by the union government. Yes. Even the quota of Delhi from say Bharat Biotech, or how many vials of vaccines will we procure from Serum Institute, is being dictated. That policy, that number, that quota is being dictated by the union government. So that's very clear. Point number one. Yes. Point number two, now you have a situation in the country, and not just in the national capital, where vaccination centers run by the government, which are inoculating its, and administering this vaccine absolutely free of cost, are shut. Yes. Why are they shut? They're shut because vaccines are not being provided to government and stocks are over. As far as these private hospitals are concerned, on the other hand, these private hospitals and these private institutions, medical facilities, etc., are going on full throttle vaccinating people. They have access to these vaccine doses. They have lakhs and lakhs of vaccines in the pipeline, and several lakhs lying unutilized in their stock rooms. Now you have a very precarious and a weird situation where government has no stocks, but private institutions have stocks. So it appears that there seems to be some understanding that the government has with the manufacturers of these vaccines,
Raghav,
because they also stand to benefit.
As far as the liberalized vaccination policy of the central government, the private hospitals and the state governments could procure from the COVID vaccines the 50% supply COVID vaccines that were earmarked for the state government and the private players, right?
Right. So it was.
So isn't the Delhi government getting their quota from that 50%? Is what I am trying to understand. What do the manufacturers tell you if you go to them?
I posed 5 questions, Rohit. I posed 5 questions to the government of India today. My first question was, please give some transparency, shed some light on what are the numbers of vaccines that you have provided to the private sector. Right. No state government in this country knows as to how much is being provided to the private sector and how much is being provided to the government sector. Of course, there was one policy and one PIB press release which said that 50% will be given to union government, 25% to state government, and the remaining 25% to private sector. But one doesn't know what the real figures are, because you have a situation in Delhi where every private facility, every private hospital has access to lakhs and lakhs of vials, is continuing to inoculate, and on the other hand, the government centers are absolutely running out of stocks. And
all right, let's take it to
in fact, it's day number 6 when our vaccine centers, particularly for the centers in which we inoculate 18 to 48.
Right. All right, Raghav, you've made your allegations. Let Mr. Nambiar respond. Mr. Nambiar, the Aam Aadmi Party is alleging that the people are being looted and that this is going on to ensure profits for manufacturers and private hospitals. What's your response?
Firstly, I think whatever Raghav and the AAP is trying to do is that create a panicky situation and trying to create a political mileage, because the Kejriwal government
isn't the situation
failed.
Already panicky with these vaccination centers shut?
Rohit, may I complete my statement?
Yes, go ahead.
So there was a crisis which was created, health crisis in the last month, which was, I mean, this even today is being created because of the inefficiency of the Aam Aadmi government in Delhi, which everybody is known to. And Kejriwal is a master politician or a master strategist in changing the narrative or trying to change the narrative. He is trying his best. Whereas everyday press conference, allegations, this is not going to cover up the real facts on the ground. The people who have been, who were really in the thick and thin of this crisis will never be able to forgive Kejriwal and Aam Aadmi Party government for oxygen, beds and etc. Now coming to the vaccine, there is a clean and clear-cut policy of the central government, which is even submitted in the Supreme Court as an affidavit by the center. Let me ask Raghav, and I thoroughly enjoy debating with him because he talks about the facts. Today, I wanted to ask Raghav, 13 lakh is the number of vaccines doses which is purchased or procured by the Delhi government. If I am correct, I can be here and there wrong because it's a very dynamic stuff. 9 lakh doses, this is again another information I could gather, I can be wrong, by the private people. Now the private hospital, this is as per the policy. Now why the Aam Aadmi Party government has not been able to procure more from the quota which is allocated, that is a mystery, and that can only be answered by Raghav.
All right,
secondly, is that one second.
Yes.
The private hospitals in Delhi is not giving these doses to the people from Pakistan or Bangladesh. They are also inoculating to the people of Delhi, you and me.
Yes.
So I think politicizing the vaccination policy is only creating a different kind of a hysteria among the people.
All right.
Just to tell that nothing is happening good in this country. I think let's leave politics for some time.
All right, I have to give a chance to Raghav Chadha to respond to that question that you raised. Raghav, respond to that before I come to Professor Chandra.
Rohit, my allegation is very specific.
Yes.
An artificial scarcity is being created while the government sector and the private sector continues to have access to these vaccines.
Yes.
This is my specific charge, number one. Number two, as far as this mystery regarding the vaccine procurement is concerned, we have been placing orders with both Bharat Biotech and Serum Institute.
Yes.
In fact, it was the chairperson of Bharat Biotech, Mr. Ella Krishna, who wrote a letter to our government and said that I am unable to provide vaccines to you above this number because officials of the central government have asked me not to. So it is on paper in writing that Mr. Krishna, the CMD of Bharat Biotech, says that central government is dictating how much vials are to be given to which state. Now, my question is extremely simple, and I really look forward to getting an answer to that, which is, how is it that private hospitals across the country have all these vaccines, their stocks are full, they are inoculating people, but the government sector, which is inoculating free of cost,
all right, you made that allegation, Raghav. Already we don't have any representative of Bharat Biotech to counter your claims that you have made. Let me go across to Dr. Chandra. Dr. Chandra, you work at the Apollo hospitals. How is it that private hospitals have doses available when the free government facilities have run out of doses?
Yes, what I understand as far as Tamil Nadu is concerned and the private institutions are concerned, we are just getting the 50% as per the government rules and regulation. But one thing, up to when I took my vaccine, it was completely free. Yes. Okay, thereafter, the vaccine was even free for above 65. There was hesitancy, so less people came in. When it got open, then the second wave came simultaneously. So a lot of people started rushing in. There is a more rush in the general hospital because it was free. And so it appeared the numbers were high and the vaccines got immediately depleted. But whereas the private hospitals are concerned, they have reasonably placed a price where some people who needed walks in. So there is always a stock of vaccines there, not wasted, nicely used. So people choose and go. So when this particular person chooses a free hospital, he sees that the stock is over because, like him, many people are coming there.
All right.
Whereas
Rohit,
so
corporate hospital will
Yes.
choose come because he needs to pay for it. So
Yes.
definitely, and also we see in a hospital that our wastage is less than 1% because we don't want to waste. And
Yes.
I know I got calls from the vaccine department, ma'am, if you have anybody waiting for vaccine, so we call them also. So
all
it
right,
is
so
not
you're talking about the volumes. Hold that thought, ma'am. I'll come back to you. Raghav, I'll come back to you. Let me go to PKD Nambiar first. Mr. Nambiar, what is the government's strategy to supply the vaccines to states? Do you have a breakup of how many vaccines are going to states and how many to the private players?
So I'm sorry, I don't represent either the BJP or the government. I may not
Yes.
have those data in place. But one thing I
Yes.
can tell you very clearly, that the government of India has clearly, I think anybody who goes through the press releases of government of India
Do you
daily
think the
can
government should
understand.
release these figures of the
So
breakup
they are
of the
releasing
vaccines
every
going to
day.
states versus
Every
private
day,
players?
so even in your own NDTV website, there is a corona tracker,
Yes.
wherein the vaccine data is clearly mentioned. What is the amount of vaccines have been supplied and which state and which
The
place.
doses
You
that
don't
have been
require this
given,
data.
but what about the
This data
supplies,
is not
sir?
required. I don't require to give you this data. This is there in ndtv.com, which I consider that as an authentic data. Now coming to there is a policy which is clearly defined. 45 lakh plus data vaccines have been given to Delhi, which the health minister of this country said
Rohit, may I?
it is as per the national average.
Yes.
Set system they have played. It is
Yes.
more than that. The quota which is allocated to other states.
Yes.
So Aam Aadmi Party is trying to make this as a political situation,
Yes.
just to cover their inefficiency of handling the COVID wave 2,
Yes.
which again, I don't want that to be treated. Today, I think what we should be talking
Rohit,
about.
I have to leave.
Yes, Raghav, I'm coming to you. Just
44
30 seconds. Let Mr. Nambiar complete his point.
Is the 44 oxygen plants which are supposed to be made?
All
is
right.
it being done? If I could get that information, that is a wonderful information, Raghav.
All right.
Delhi
All right,
is looking.
Mr. Nambiar, we are digressing. Oxygen is another matter. It's an important matter. I agree, but that's a subject of another debate. We give out data about how many people are inoculated and what is the average of inoculation drive. Raghav,
Right.
now you can respond to that. Also, if I may add, who is behind this so-called scam that you are alleging? Who are you blaming?
Yeah. Okay. So I do agree with Dr. Anita that yes, there is an option before the consumers,
Yes.
the citizens, if they wish to go to a private hospital and get themselves administered
Yes.
this particular vaccine, they must choose to. I am for profit. I'm not against it. But my point is
she's
that
also saying that there is a question of volume. Because the vaccination
Correct.
centers
So
that the government operates are free, so those vaccines get depleted
Correct.
quickly. So that's also there.
No, but we don't know the volumes. We don't know the numbers. Neither Rohit, neither you have visibility on the numbers, nor PKD and Nambiar has visibility on the numbers. And I'm afraid certainly the doctor has no visibility qua the numbers as to how much each state has received and how much each private hospital within that state has received. Point number one. Point
Yes.
number two. Previously, Rohit, every citizen had a choice.
Yes.
Either to go to a government-run center and get this vaccine free of cost, or go to a private hospital, spend roughly 1,500 rupees a dose,
Yes.
and get themselves vaccinated. Currently, the government sector stocks have, been reduced or are not being provided for, and therefore there is an artificial scarcity. But the private sector continues to get it. Now, every citizen who wishes to protect himself or his family members is compelled to go to a private setup and get his,
All right.
his or her family inoculated. You end up spending close to 10 to 15,000 precious rupees to get a family of 5 people vaccinated. Now
Yes.
that is a huge sum of money for the poor. So therefore, when a government-run facility has been created, the prerogative of the union government should be to first fill up the stocks of the government
Yes.
and then provide the private sector.
All right,
inoculating
Raghav,
its
you've made
citizens.
those allegations. I'm sorry, I'm short on time. One final question to Dr. Chandra. Dr. Chandra, do you think that this shortage of vaccines in the free government centers is hampering India's fight against COVID, and that more doses should be given to the government facilities providing vaccines for free?
Yes, yes, we need to all fight together. There should not be a blame game, because neither the state or the central government was aware about the pandemic and is going to come in a second wave. So we all need to work together. Yes, government is doing, we healthcare workers are doing.
Yes.
The two main vaccine production has increased their vaccination. Even the Sputnik with Dr. Reddy's is manufacturing large quantity. And
Yes.
if you know, 3 other private concerns have been given, because there's now no patency in the vaccine. So
Yes.
these concerns have been asked to make. So government, state government, everybody is trying to see that we increase our production.
All
and
right.
also at the same time, we are trying to export Moderna and Pfizer to meet the people. So blame game should not be there. Yes, we are all working together, even
Yes.
healthcare workers. And new media is doing a good job to clear all the doubts of the people. I think that at this point of time, there is no partiality, nothing of that sort. We
All
are
right.
trying to
So you're saying stop the blame game, ramp up the production and give vaccines to as many people as quickly as possible. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. Dr. Chandra, Mr. PKD Nambiar and Raghav Chadha, thanks very much for joining us on this short duration discussion.